Hello everyone, welcome to Johnny Dell's Football Academy. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. This Sunday, the game versus the 49ers and Ravens will be one of the biggest matchups of the year, as it will see two of the best teams in the NFL going head-to-head and the two highest scoring offenses in the NFL. It will be a true clash of the Titans, as both teams are also ranked second and fourth in scoring defense. So you have two high-scoring offenses going up against two stingy defenses. It'll also be an interesting matchup because these are the number 1 and number 2 teams in the NFL in running the ball. What year are we in? The NFL is supposed to be a passing league, yet both teams are running the ball and playing great defense. But how is San Francisco going to try and slow down a seemingly unstoppable offense and the league frontrunner for MVP in Lamar Jackson? As some of you know, I've been watching 49ers film for years, going back to the Harbaugh days. I watched every snap of Colin Kaepernick and Greg Roman's offense during that time, and watched most plays 3 or 4 times, so I'm very familiar with what Greg Roman did with Colin Kaepernick. For anyone thinking this was just that offense on steroids, it's not the case. The offense the Ravens are running now is quite a bit different than the one that was ran with the 49ers in 2012 through 14. That was an offense that incorporated the pistol and read option into a hybrid West Coast offense. It looked to utilize play action to push the ball downfield and then open up cutback lanes for running backs. This offense is much more like something you see in college football, and I don't mean that as a slight. It's more, not many NFL teams are willing to run this kind of offense because of the potential beating the quarterback can take. Baltimore likes to condense the sets, bring in bigger personnel of multiple tight ends, a fullback, and even an extra lineman. And from there, they look to attack the edges. By incorporating read option looks into almost every run, it stresses the edge of the defense. From there, they look to outflank you. This is where a lot of their chunk plays have come from. For the 49ers defense to slow down this offense, they're going to have to firmly set an edge and remove Jackson as a runner off the read option looks. And then their interior D linemen must eat up double teams. From there, they have to take away the middle of the field in the passing game and make Jackson prove he can throw the ball outside the numbers with accuracy. Now, that's a long intro, I know, for this video, but we're going to jump into some film and see what I'm talking about. Here's an example of a condensed set and then attacking the edge. Baltimore is going to come out in 12 personnel with 1 back and 2 tight ends, and line up their wide receivers in close. They motion a tight end across. The purpose of this is simply to widen the outside defender, in this case Jalen Ramsey, and then attack the edge. By coming out in a condensed set, it also forced the Rams to condense their front. Now Baltimore has the ability to seal them off inside. From there, it's a simple inside zone read. In the condensed set, Ramsey had outside contain. When the tight end motioned across, Ramsey widened, and Matthews should now have outside contain, but he doesn't recognize it. So he dives on the running back on the zone read, thinking Ramsey is going to be an outside contain. You now have the larger-bodied tight ends coming up to block on a safety and a corner, and a linebacker trying to run down Jackson off the edge. Again, Baltimore is going to come out in a heavy set with 22 personnel. They line up in a double wishbone pistol formation. This is about as college offense as it gets. Again, not meaning that as a slight. The advantage here is that with 3 backs in the backfield, the Ravens can bring extra blockers to either side of the line. Again, they will look to attack the edge out of a condensed set. They're going to run a simple ISO play with a quarterback lead off of it. One thing LA tried to do here is match Baltimore's personnel package with safeties. That was a bad decision. At the snap, you're going to see the Ravens are going to double team down on both interior defensive tackles for the ISO, and then leave the M-loss unblocked on the read option. The M-loss takes Jackson, so it's now just an ISO play with a lead blocker isolated on a linebacker leading up into the hole. Both defensive tackles don't stand up well against their double teams. The backside allows the center to get up to the second level on a safety, and the front side gets washed out of the hole. I like San Francisco as a matchup here a lot better in this situation because their defensive tackles have done very well against double team blocks inside. So this play is just going to be an example of how Baltimore will use different formations to outflank a defense. Here, they're going to come out in 21 personnel and use the tackle over formation. That's where you move a tackle to the other side of the formation and put a tight end where the tackle would normally be. The slot receiver here has to make sure he's on the line of scrimmage. If not, it's an illegal formation. This means they can put an extra offensive lineman to that side without having to have one report as eligible since the tight end is already eligible. By doing this, the Rams don't recognize this situation well, and pre-snap, they're already outflanked. From here, it's just a 26 power. They throw in the read option look, but it's just to hold the mic. It's designed to go to the running back the whole way. The two tackles win their 1v1s, and the fullback kicks out on the M-loss. With the mic being out of position from the read option look, they're pulling a guard up through an open hole, and the defense has now been sealed off. That's just too easy for an offense. Again, the key to this game will be our D-line versus their O-line. When you get them in third down situations, you have to play your assignments well. On this play, the Rams tried to call a defense that works well to shut down the read option, but they still failed to stop the third down conversion. Baltimore comes out again in 22 personnel and are going to motion a fullback across the formation. This allows a team to change the strength of the formation right at the snap. From here, it's just an inside zone read. LA is going to try and run a scrape exchange, and that's where you slant the D-line down and bring a linebacker or safety over that slant into outside contain. You're scraping to exchange gap responsibility. The problem is the zone read holds the defensive end, and you also have the linebacker playing over the top of this, scraping to outside contain. The tackle is also able to wash down the defensive tackle, and it opens up a gaping hole in the defense for an easy conversion on third down. We've run this scrape exchange before several times this year, and I like us better in this situation. I know I sound like a homer, but we usually run it with Armstead and Tart. Tart is faster than Los Angeles' linebacker, and Armstead is much stouter and able to completely crash down that side of the line. Again, the Ravens are going to come out, condense the formation, and attack the edge. They're in a double wishbone pistol formation again, and they're going to run an inside zone read, this time leaving the defensive tackle unblocked. At the snap, Jackson reads the defensive tackle and keeps the ball. The defensive end doesn't maintain outside contain against the tackle, and you now have a safety trying to get to the edge on Jackson, who has a tight end as a lead blocker. Again, you see the Ravens are able to seal off the defense inside. You have to contain the edges against this team. That's where the real damage comes from. Here, it's more of the same from the Ravens, but the Rams are going to get themselves caught in no man's land and again give up the edge. The Ravens are going to bring a tight end in motion, and as he comes back across the formation at the snap, he fakes a block on Matthews, who almost looks like he's trying to jam him on a passing route, and then comes inside but doesn't attack the running back. I have no idea what Matthews is doing here. He puts himself in no man's land on these types of plays. He's not in position to play the running back and not in one to play the quarterback. Aaron Donald tries to hold up against his double team, but with Matthews in no man's land, you get two defenders who try and fill the lane where the running back would go, and Jackson is again able to get outside. You have to be able to contain the edge. So with all of that, how do you stop this run game? Your interior guys have to win. The Ravens are going to come out on this play and bring the tight end in motion and run another inside zone read, this time leaving the defensive end unblocked. If it were me, I'd have that defensive end play the quarterback every single time. From there, the safety in the game, number 24, doesn't bite on the quarterback run. To Jackson's credit, he's staying within the offense. Some quarterbacks have pulled that ball no matter what, but Jackson actually does read the defender every time. The safety is able to fill the backside hole, and Donald holds his ground play side, and the other defensive tackle fights through his double team and closes the running lane. While we can put all this attention on Jackson and the skill position guys and all the speed, the real game is going to be played by the big guys inside. So that's been a lot of the run game. How about the passing game? Roman is dialing up a lot of concepts that look to attack the middle of the field. This helps keep Jackson looking down the middle and puts further stress on the interior defenders. Here, the Ravens are going to come out and run a slant inside with a double post concept behind it. The double post is meant to horizontally stretch a deep middle safety, and a play I've seen a number of times from the Ravens. The Rams are going to run man coverage, and there's some confusion that happens on this play. They either have a safety who's supposed to be deep middle, or they're doubling the inside receiver where one guy will take him if he goes in, another guy if he goes out. Sometimes on plays when there's busts in coverage, the hardest thing is figuring out what a guy was supposed to do. In any case, the slant route gets through the coverage untouched, and it's an easy pitch and catch for the Ravens. In keeping with passing stuff inside, here's another passing concept that looks to attack the middle of the field. Baltimore spreads out the formation and runs a concept that's been around for a long time, the four verticals concept. It's a deep horizontal stretch of the defense. The Rams are going to be in a zone blitz here with 3 deep and 3 underneath defenders. This is a well-timed call by Roman. The four verticals will look to stretch the deep middle safety against a 3 deep zone. The quarterback reads the middle safety, and wherever he goes, he throws to the opposite. And that's just a nice play by Jackson. However, this is a play that's been around forever and has been used to defeat cover 3 for a long time. In fact, in the early 90s, Bill Belichick's Browns were beat by this concept a number of times by the Steelers. So Nick Saban and Bill Belichick came up with the defense specifically meant to stop this play, the cover 3 match, which I'll show here. And the 49ers run the cover 3 match. What the match will do is when there's a vertical release up the seam, the hook curl defender underneath will look to match the vertical and protect the seam on these plays. So this is a play I'm not worried about us getting beat on. The Browns tried this earlier this year and we sacked Baker Mayfield on the play. Again, just so we all know I'm not making this stuff up, another passing concept over the middle of the field. The Ravens are going to come out and motion a receiver late into a bunch set. This allows the receivers to get free releases as the defensive backs have a harder time pressing the off guys. Baltimore is going to run a mesh concept off this. A mesh concept is where you have 2 opposing shallow crossing or drag routes and looks to defeat man coverage. Usually, there's also a short hook over the middle at 8 to 10 yards. Roman throws in a different wrinkle here when it's a hook and go. Again, not to make this sound like the Ravens don't get credit, because they do. They just blew out a team in prime time. But LA just screws up the fundamental stuff here. When you're in man coverage, defenders need to make sure they're on different levels so that they don't get themselves into pick plays. That's day 1 of training camp type of stuff. Here, you have 2 defenders on the same level. Ramsey does what he's supposed to on these plays, and that's jam his receiver so that he can't pick the outside defender on an inside route because he's supposed to be on a different level. Because he's not, he gets himself picked on the play, and it's an easy throw for Jackson. Our back end has been much better in these types of situations. We are the number 1 passing defense by a mile. But again, you see that the Ravens like to keep Jackson throwing down the middle. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. This will be a huge game for both teams, and we'll get to see some really entertaining football this weekend. What I want to see from our defense is our interior guys showing up, and defensive ends looking to take away the quarterback run, and on the back end, force Lamar Jackson to prove he can throw the ball outside the numbers with accuracy. If we can do that, we have a chance to slow down the offense and give our own offense a chance to win the game. This is a tough matchup on any day and is a game I really think could go either way. So, put on your lucky socks, wear your lucky jersey, eat your game day ritual meal. For us, it's game day nachos. And let's see who comes out on top this Sunday. As always, if you'd like to support the channel, I'll include ways to do that below. Like and subscribe if you liked what you saw, and you can follow me on Twitter at Johnny Dells, and that's Johnny Dells with no H. And as always, go Niners.